Hey y'all, I'm Courtney,
And I'm Sarah,
and this is Bodice Tipplers,
the podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
and then we drink about it.
This episode is brought to you by viewers like you, and also by Kensington Books. They'd like you to know about their new book, The Rebellious Rancher, which is Kate Pierce's third book in her Millers of Morgan Valley series. So obviously it's got ranchers, it's got a rough around the edges cowboy, it's got a pampered actress, it's got an ill-fated camping trip. I would imagine, although I don't know, that probably somebody gets wet and have to take their wet clothes off. All the reviews look really good. It looks like it's developed emotional journeys, and it's for grown-ups about grown-up problems, and it sounds really good. I think I might have to pick it up myself. And it's out already, so you should go and get one wherever you buy your books.
Hey y'all!
Hey y'all.
How are y'all doing?
You know what? I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Everything is still terrible.
Well, I feel like that's, you know what? Honestly, that's the norm. So I feel like we don't really have to, everybody's doing the same. You know, we're trying
I'm trying to get my kid used to the idea that he will not be going back to school.
Yeah. Well, that's good
and that's tough.
That you'll be able to, it's just good that you have the opportunity and the option to, keep him home and, you know.
Yes. Our district is everybody starts virtual, so thankfully I'm shocked, honestly, that
I don't know, I'm just torn about it because obviously I understand it's the right thing to do. It just sucks for people who have you know, jobs that don't allow them to work remotely and stuff like that.
Oh, it's impossible.
There's going to be a lot of kids.
The idea that they think that this hybrid model, the hybrid model only makes sense if you are a rich person who thinks that the option is either your kids are at school or your kids are at home. In fact, your kids are mostly going to be at crappy daycares.
Yeah. I mean, unless people can afford to put their kids in crappy daycares and, you know, I don't know. It's just going to be a lot of kids falling behind. So
it's going to be a lot of kids in increasingly unsafe situations too.
Exactly.
A lot of kids staying home with the 11-year-old or, you know, with your unstable drunk uncle or.
Yeah. And lots of food insecurity and stuff. So, if you can,
it's not great.
Always give money to, you know, food banks and things like that. Try to help. Go volunteer time at the food bank if you've got time. I know Harvest Hope is looking for volunteers. So if you're local and have a couple hours that you can give in the morning, go volunteer for Harvest Hope. That's
also, if you're like I am and you're about to get a pandemic EBT card because your kid goes to a school that that all the kids get free lunch. It's illegal to do welfare fraud, so you can't just buy food for other people on your EBT card, but you certainly can spend that exact amount of money to a local food bank, and they can do a lot more with that money than they could with the food. So
exactly. So
within the money. Yeah,
I've been trying to figure out a way to schedule my time to where I can go back to to volunteering with Harvest Hope. Because it's a really good program, and hopefully you guys have programs like that in your communities you can help out with. So, with that being said, we'll get off of the terrible pandemic portion of this.
Hopefully, our audio is hopefully better this time. We've been trying to experiment with ways to do this where we're not in the room with each other, and we know it has not been great. So we're trying something different. Yes. I know I'm saying this not having heard it, so much would be terrible. But we are aware that it's a problem, and we're just doing our best. I'm sure other podcasts are having the same issue. So
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm mad about though? I'm sure y'all heard my my advertisement for that new cowboy book, and every time they send me one of those, they send a list of things that they're doing to promote the book. So it's usually just advanced reader copies and author tours and stuff. But this one says promotions at women's ranch retreats. I wasn't given a damn women's ranch retreat. Dear Kensington Books, we would take cute pictures. I would even allow myself to be in a picture.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll always take the ranch retreat if you're handing out ranch retreats. So
right, I mean, I would run the risk of dying of COVID to go on a ranch retreat right now.
All right, so Patreon shout outs. This week or this episode, we are shouting out Kate. Kate is the podcast host of Ignorance Was Bliss. She is a story collector, and her podcast is about how we become who we are. And she can make anything almost seem normal. Kate's great. We follow her on Twitter. She follows us, and she was one of those podcasters that when the podcast blackout happened and she did an episode, she lost, Patreon members and listeners. But, I was like, I will always give my money and, whatever to a non-racist. So you guys should also do the same. Her podcast is great. And it's Kate, Ignorance Was Bliss. And she rocks. She joined our Prosecco level just because she enjoys a Prosecco. So,
well, who doesn't?
I know. So that's our shout out. What are you drinking before we get into any book recs? What are you drinking for this?
Yeah, I am still drinking Kirkland's signature box wine.
Ooh.
I apologize to dudes at Morganelli's, but I'm trying to keep my trips to a minimum. Although I would say Morganelli's does do curbside.
Go ahead. Oh yeah,
but they have this. At Costco now they have.
I was gonna say, and Morganelli's has all of the plexiglass and stuff in place, so you can go in there and feel fairly.
They do. I've just been trying really hard, and plus they have a $13 box of wine at Costco.
that is a bonus. I am drinking Well Red. I got it because our book has a librarian in it, and it is a organic red blend from Sonoma. Very good. Very nice and mild. So, are you reading anything interesting that's not podcast related?
Well, I just did finish the new N.K. Jemisin book, and congratulations to her for winning yet another Hugo. Apologies to everybody at the Hugos who got shit on by old white dudes. Sorry about that. But the new N.K. Jemisin novel, The City We Became, it's great, as I expect from her at all times. It's very different in tone from a lot of her previous books, so I think a lot of people, of course, a lot of people will enjoy it, but a lot of people who may have thought it was a little bit too grim, her other books, so I think we'll enjoy this one more. I gave it 5 stars, and I don't give very much 5 stars.
Sounds good. I am reading Mariana Zapata's new book, hands down. I love all her books. She is like the queen of slow burn romance. She usually does sport romances, so this is a football player. But for the most part, her heroines are all Latina, and it's all family centered. And I really like her writing. Again, she does a slow burn really well. So this is hands down. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, it is available through Kindle Unlimited. So that's what I'm reading.
That sounds like fun. Actually, Indigo by Beverly Jenkins just came in for me on Libby. Mm-hmm. So I am pretty excited because I know that's a lot of people's favorite Bev Jenkins book.
Yeah.
So that's next up. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, there was one I just read. Hold on, I'm trying to find the name of it. We don't have to spend too much time on this. Oh, I just read Sophie Jordan's The Virgin and the Rogue. People were talking about it on Twitter, waiting for it to come out, and it's pretty cute. A girl's sister essentially gives her she thinks it's a tonic for cramps, but it makes her super horny, and she jumps on this guy that's visiting the house, and it's very cute. But it ends up dealing with real issues, this sister. Our main character is engaged to somebody that she doesn't really want to marry, and, she's dealing with the loss of her family. So you get crazy, horny, super tonics and, real issues at the same time. So I would suggest Sophie Jordan's The Virgin and the Rogue, too.
All right, so about this book.
All right.
Oh, wait, we didn't give trigger warnings or anything. We didn't tell anybody anything about this book.
Yeah, so we are reading... The Green Fire by Stephanie James, aka all of her other names, which we'll talk about. And you can do the trigger warnings because it's been a month since I've read this book. So.
Oh yeah, well, I didn't even think about them. So honestly, it's just knowing, walking in that you're getting something with a very forceful male lead. That's pretty much the only thing in here. He's the kind of guy who will break into your fucking house and make pancakes, but
But again, the pancakes is the worst that he does. Like, he's not, I don't know. Again, we'll talk about it. But he is very alpha male. But at least this one uses his alpha maleness for pancakes and not some of the other alpha maleness that we have.
I don't feel like this pancakes are any good though. But then there's there's a kind of a generic peril, so there's like some shooting out, but it's not like there's nothing gross. There's nothing that like gave me like a ton of pause or anything.
It's very romancing the stone, and so that's why I'm not as like about the trigger warnings with this one. It's very much
there's nothing that if you're used to reading romances from the 80s, then this is gonna be fine for you. This is 86, by the way.
Yeah, she's very inspired by Romancing the Stone, you can tell. It's kind of got that feel to it. So this is another Stephanie James book, and we wanted to do a Stephanie James book who, again, has 45 different names, because a lot of people really like her, and the one that we did was Ghost of the Chance, and Sarah and I really didn't enjoy that one because that one was one where we felt like the lead was super gross, the male lead, and I just wanted to try another one of her books, and I'm glad I did because I liked this one a lot better.
This one grew on me. I did not love it at the beginning, but like as it went on, I liked it better.
So Stephanie James is also known as Jayne Ann Krentz, is also known as Amanda Quick. And these are the three names that she uses now. So she was using like 7 names before this. Her real name is Jayne Castle. She's from California. She, in her previous life before becoming a writer, was a librarian, which we see a lot in these books. And like I said, she does books under Jayne Castle, Jayne Ann Krentz, and Amanda Quick. I think the Amanda Quick books are more her historical romances.
Yes.
And I think the Jayne Ann Krentz might be more her sci-fi. So she did one in 1986 called Sweet Starfire, which is a futuristic romance. We'll have to do that one too. And that's when I think she was
We have not had good luck with sci-fi romance.
It's true, but we can give it a shot. So yes, this is our second one. Again, the first one that we did was called Ghost of a Chance, and that was out earlier this year. So that's her. She's in her 70s now and just writing along. Good for her. So you want to tell us a little bit about this? You've got the cover.
Well, first of all, I should tell you, and this always does make a big impact, whether it's like a real book or a series romance book, because these series romance books don't have a lot of room in them. So I'd like to read one of hers that's like a full-length book, because it always feels like they have to cut everything that's not the romance part. But this is a Silhouette Desire. It is Silhouette Desire number 277. I'll read the back. Stray Cat Strut. Flint Cottrell had been driven all of his life by a restlessness that didn't allow any peace. He chased legends and treasures, wrote about them, sold his stories to magazines when he could, did odd jobs when he couldn't. But the night Rainy Garraway opened her door, he knew he'd found that elusive something he'd been searching for. Rainey stared at the handsome, thoroughly rain-soaked stranger who looked like a battle-scarred alley cat demanding shelter. As his exotic green eyes locked with hers, she realized that he could set her safe, risk-free life on fire, green fire, and the flames were already licking at her heart. The cover, I actually kind of dig the cover. Like she's wearing total 80s makeup, and he looks like a not very intelligent person who plays a fraternity brother in a movie. But she's got jeans on, and like she's got like this cool kind of stripy orange camp shirt. It's all unbuttoned, and I like the cover.
She has the most fun clothes out of any. She might be, I think, from what I remember, she might be one of my favorite of our heroines because she's so self-actualized, and she had amazing, crazy, loud clothes. And I love amazing, crazy, loud clothes.
But some of them weren't like, he was like, oh my god, her loud clothes, and it was just like an orange shirt and jeans.
I know, but it was always like she was wearing like wild sweaters. Like I imagine it was like those like, I feel like she had a lot of like Memphis style stuff, like Memphis style sweaters, and so I was there for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she would, her style would hold up today. Put it that way.
Yes.
Although maybe we could like wash her face off a bit.
I don't know. The loud makeup's coming back. Rainy might be the most like for, she's might be very fashion forward now. Who knows?
Girl, I follow a lot of those like thrift store hauls like subreddits, and these young women who are so fucking excited about like pleated acid jeans they're gonna give me a heart attack. I can't fucking deal with it. I keep almost commenting and then stopping myself because why on earth would you be an asshole to somebody who's really enjoying their life? But but
how dare you like the thing?
It took a long time. We had to crawl out of that, like on our lips. It was,
we went through, no, to be fair, we went through that whole, like, let's all dress like we're from the 60s and 70s thing, so.
Oh, yeah, and my mother did not understand it. I begged her for bell-bottoms, and she was like, it's so important.
It's the same thing. All right, so why don't you plot us up?
So, Rainey, whatever her name is, she is a librarian. She is a branch librarian, and a branch is big enough to have a reference department, so it must be quite big. And she's like at this like kind of slightly rundown Airbnb kind of thing near a lake, and minded her own fucking business with their like cat that sort of lives there, Zip. And it's like pouring down rain in the middle of the night, and this dude knocks on the door. And he's like, hey, the Andersons who own this place have like contracted me to be their like gardener and shit. And unbelievably, it's true. Like, he's not a fucking serial killer. So all he has is like a letter. Like, thanks a lot. But he's already like inviting his own ass in and shit. And he notices immediately that she has this like extremely giant showy emerald ring. But she's like, oh, no, it's not real. My uncle Ambrose was a notorious jewel thief, as he do, and he would do, yeah. he would like I guess a fence really, because like he would take these insane pieces of jewelry and he would make copies, like beautiful copies, because people would actually pay people to do that back in the day. Evidently, this is the second book we've had where that came up, and I guess I just don't get rich people.
It's wild.
Like, why wouldn't you just buy the amazing costume jewelry? And I mean, if you were scared to wear your real jewels out, why do you have the real jewels? I don't understand. But
yeah, bizarre. So he basically like invites himself in to have her chili. And she keeps comparing him to a stray cat. He's very rangy looking, like he's kind of like he's one of those sinewy dudes. Like I feel like he's probably like $135, and it's all just like, grizzle
like
and
permanent
tendons
sunburn.
Like who?
Like permanent sunburn kind of guy, Yeah.
Like he's just very grizzled. Very, like, again, like a stray cat.
But he is actually there on the owner's behest, and he mentions her ring in this kind of creepy way. Again, stranger, middle of night, invited self in. And he says that he sells articles about weird phenomena, and that he's aware of the ring already, which, oh my god, girl, you're about to get murdered. And that this is a ring with it's like a cursed ring, or I guess you could say a blessed ring.
He says that he debunks myths and stuff. Like he's a like he's like fucking Scully, but without a full-time job. Like he just goes around debunking things. And then you find out that he knows her dead uncle, the fencer. Like,
in other words, she's already at the second location and didn't even know it.
Exactly. So yeah, then he just does some stuff around the house, and she's like, oh, he is handy, like.
But okay, so the next morning she wakes up and he's like broken into her fucking house, because he's supposed to be in like the guest house in the back. Broken into her fucking house, and okay, it's supposed to be sexy, but to me it wasn't, because he wasn't like, I thought I'd make you pancakes. Instead, it was like he seemed like confused, and he was all like, well, I didn't have any food. And I get this archetype. Okay, this guy is supposed to be like, hyper competent. Like that's what's supposed to be attractive about him, and you're gonna like tell me that dude didn't realize like, oh, I might want to eat at some point.
But I think again, it's supposed to be his stray catness, in that she let him in once and fed him, and then he just sticks around forever like a cat. Yeah. You feed him once, and now he's like, oh, because she keeps calling him Tom Cat, Alley Cat, all that kind of stuff. But yes, he does break in to make pancakes, which is not great.
Yeah, not great, Bob. Not great.
No.
And so she's dating this dude, Mike. And by dating, it seems like it's she seems to be the kind of person, she's not holding people away because she's like traumatized or anything, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Often these women in these books are keeping people at arm's length because of something terrible that happened to them. She just doesn't really want a relationship at this time.
Right.
She would just prefer not to. But so she's dating this guy off and on from town who's just he's an artist. He seems nice.
Yeah, nice Mike.
That's
So okay, so Flint is telling her about this legend with the ring, and she's like, the ring's not real, and he's like, oh, but there's a legend, and it's all about whoever has the ring, a lady has the ring, and once she sleeps with a guy, they'll be in love forever. The legend part of this thing was they could have done without that, and made it
because
more,
they kept bringing it up, and it kept bringing the story to a screeching halt.
If they had made it more about the heist element that kind of happens at the end, it'd be great.
Because she took it after Ambrose died, her uncle. She took it to one of his colleagues, his friend Dewhurst, and said, "Hey, because she got this stuff that he wanted her to have, and she's like, I need to know, is this shit real? Because I know most of the stuff it should not be real because he had these these fakes made." And then the guy told her, "Oh, well, the setting might be real. I don't know, but the stone is definitely glass."
Yeah,
because otherwise she would not wear. I mean, it is evidently the kind of ring that I don't know, the Queen of fucking England would find too vulgar to wear. It is giant, and it's a huge emerald.
I'm saying you always get a second opinion on this shit.
Right?
Always get a second opinion.
Especially everybody involved is clearly a crooked, jewel heisting thief.
So, she's kind of wandering around, she's got Flint sniffing after her. He is clearly into her, and she's like, nah, bro, I'm good. She's hiking one day.
Intimidation thing on Mike, which I guess is kind of important because she goes on a couple more dates with Mike.
Yeah.
And Flint, I didn't like that either. The Flint was all embarrassing her.
Yeah.
At the post office.
But there's also, hold on. There's also where she's going hiking, and the whole time she's complaining about drunk guys shooting shit in the woods, which I get. I was like, good for you, girl. And she's hiking, and all of a sudden, somebody's shooting, and she's like, motherfucking, she starts yelling at him about, you're too close to property to be shooting at animals. And, all of a sudden, here comes Flint, and he's like, Flint and the cat. The cat Zip came and found her.
Yeah, cats totally do that. Cats care if you live or die.
And so Flint all of a sudden he goes from being kind of handyman story writer to you're saying highly proficient with a gun guy. He's got a gun, he's crouched down, he's covering her and protecting her, and she's like, what the fuck is your problem? She's like, it's just hunters. And he's like, it's not just hunters. And I
mean, honestly, it is kind of clear from what happens that if it was hunters, they were way, way, way off course. I mean, she's by the lake, where all the vacation houses are. I mean, it's not. Yeah, she was scared, but she should have been scared because it wasn't a place that made sense to
kill her. And in the midst of all this, he's telling her about this legend of the ring. And there's this sort of meta part where he's telling her about all the people who had the ring in the past. And it's very romance novel. Every single one of those bitches get kidnapped by the guy. And she's like, She's like, are you sure this isn't she's like, none of this sounds romantic. It just sounds like kidnapping. So I appreciated that part of it. But she goes on a date with Mike, and he crashes the date, the after date, and is being not cool about it. But
he's being inappropriate, honestly. Yeah. He is where, I mean, he is sticking his nose in other accoutrement where it is not wanted.
Right. But so they eventually they do eventually fuck it out. And I will say, he gets verbal consent for the fucking it out. Because
yeah. It was not Ghost of a Chance. It was gross.
And he says to her, they're making out, and she's pulling him to the end. He's like, no, I need to hear you say it. And she was like, yes, I want to have sex with you. And I was like, this is amazing. I love that we got that.
Yeah. And then they both get a little wigged out. She wakes up in the morning and he's moving his shit in.
Yeah, he's like, I'm ready. He's like, I'm in love with you, and she's like, what? We just had sex once. And all the while, like, she's still walking around with this dumb big ass ring on. And so again, like Sarah was saying, and we'll dive into it later, like this book takes an hour to read. Like it's one of those that's like less than, like it's right at like 200 pages. And so we're not spending a lot of time on the plot because honestly, there's not a lot of plot to it. Like,
which is frustrating.
The last 20 pages or so, all of a sudden she's in the post office. And the little lady that works at the post office is like an amateur gemologist and is like, yo, boo, like your emerald ring, that's real. And she's like, no, it's not. And she's like, no, that's real. No, it's not.
Her jeweler's loop. Like this little old like Aunt Patty lady like gets her loop out.
And in the post office, she finds out that she is basically wearing, the fucking Jewel of the Sea from Titanic on her finger.
She's been doing the dishes and shit, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's when, like, she's like, well, why did, Ambrose's friend, the jeweler, what was his name?
And then she makes the mistake of calling. It might have been, I'm sure to just cement this in your mind of the plot. She calls up Dewhurst, like, are you sure you didn't make a mistake?
Yeah. And so then we get into like the really kind of like the fun part of it. Then the book gets real heisty and gets real like adventure-y. And you've got Flint trying to protect her and her being like, fuck you, I can take care of myself. And they're, sneaking around and Dewhurst comes out.
Home.
Yeah.
They come home and like the door is open.
Yeah.
And so like there's this whole like action scene in which Flint does not really acquit himself great. Like he leaves the gun in the car.
Well, she also like, she's great. Like, cause she's like, nope, I'm joining in and is like fighting too. But then you find out that the nice artist Mike that she had been casually dating is part of it. Like he's part of the jewel heist.
He's the one trying to kill them in the woods. And so they tie this dude up with a belt. Yeah. Like, okay. And they go back in the house to call the sheriff. Okay. And then she's like, I need a fucking shower. And he's like, we're going to call the sheriff first. Like, oh, whatever. I'm going to need a shower. And then she goes to take a shower. And then bam, it's like they didn't even check the house for a second person.
No, it's bizarre. Like, yeah. And so the book ends.
And that's Dewhurst. Dewhurst is the other person, which of course you would like, it would make sense immediately. Yeah. He was the reader because the lady at the post office had no skin in this game at all whatsoever, of course, right?
So she ends up like, it ends up with Dewhurst and Mike getting arrested and her and Flint living happily ever after. He says that he's like, I'm not going to kidnap you because that's not how we do things. But he decides like he moves to San Francisco or wherever they are and like gets a real job and stops being an alley cat, stops being a stray cat.
The funny thing is that she wants to go ahead and like, let's move in together. He's like, no, because you think and all this. So no, can get my own place, gonna get my own job. Like he buys his own nursery, I guess, like plant nursery.
Landscaping business. Yeah. It's so, all of a sudden it's like he becomes the respectable one and is all, I'm going to do things the right way. And it does one of those like flash forward 6 months later, they're just like living like rational adults and she's got the cat with her and she's got $1 billion ring.
I mean, it's a romance trope that like, there is such a thing as a domesticating vagina.
Yeah.
But damn, like she's got like the best one in the business, all right?
It was.
You laugh at that.
I mean, again, it's wild that it like usually we do a plot. Well, like if we're doing a Jude Devereux, we do the plot in like 90 minutes. This one is like sitting at 14, but it's such a short book that there's really not a lot happening. Boy meets girl. And
I would like to read one of hers that is not a silhouette because I mean, like what you got room for in 200 pages. So essentially, I felt robbed of like there's a whole jewel heist going on and we didn't get to have it.
I know. I really liked because like one of my favorite tropes is like the kind of like adventure-y guy, assassin guy, and those are my favorites. I love those. Mm-hmm. So I was wanting more of like who he became at like the last 30, 40 pages. of like, you know, running around with the gun guy, you know, taking care of business while she's like, what's happening? And like, there's one part I remember they're sneaking around in the woods and she's got on one of her loud orange blouses and he's like, your shirt's too bright, and like rips her shirt off. And he's like,
I think it was actually the one from the cover. And, you know, I always love, I mean, it's like, I guess back to my childhood, you know, whenever the scene from the cover is an actual thing from the book.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was short. It was amusing. It was much better. I feel like it was the better of the, of her books. Like, I liked it.
Yeah,
much
I really,
more.
really, and there was so much that was upsetting in Jayne Ann Krentz, and so much that was a bad role model, and I mean, just, like,
So this one, I felt like it was, I liked this one a lot better. So,
like, I don't mind an alpha male. I mind an alpha male. Like, we talked about this in our Ghost of a Chance episode, which was our last Halloween episode, and you should go listen to it if you want to. But because, like, his behavior is like a Joanna Lindsay behavior, and her behavior is like a Lavrell Spencer behavior. Okay, and you can't have that.
Right. Yeah, this one I felt like it was a little bit more in the middle. You know, like
and I really did like that they were adults. Like, she was very much a grown up. The reason that she wasn't nailing anybody else is that she just didn't want to.
Exactly. Like, I liked that. Yeah.
She wasn't carrying around like some kind of burden or whatever. I did think it was funny that, like, you know, he didn't actually lie, and he was really kicking himself after he told the whole story, which is that he had been a friend of Ambrose and all, because he didn't lie, but he understood completely that he did not tell her the whole truth either.
Yeah.
And he got why that was bad, right?
Yeah, lie by omission kind of thing. Again,
he actually was there to make to write an article.
Yeah.
So he didn't lie about that part, which seems odd.
Well, again, I feel like the first 40 pages of him is him being just like, you know, that typical male hero that you get. And then, like, he becomes like a good dude. He becomes like a cool dude. I don't know.
Yeah, I did not like the first half of this book, but I liked it a lot better.
Yeah.
You know, I had a hard time getting through it to start with, but then, like, you know, once it started going, I finished it in a day because I liked him a lot better after that.
Yeah. All right.
You know, one thing I just really don't like in books, I guess, as I think about it, I don't like when I understand that it's like the trope and it's part of whatever, but anything that has a man not understanding how fucking creepy he's coming off as.
Yeah.
You know, like, you come into somebody's house, you shove your way through the door, she's by herself, it's the middle of the night, it's raining outside, you have a letter, and that's it. I mean, you know, and then you go eat her food.
Yeah, that's true. No, I get it. I totally get it.
All right. I guess I had not articulated that before, but I really don't like that thing where I get that it's to do a thing in a book, but I don't like it. Because a guy who cares about you really is like, oh, I am so sorry. You must feel very uncomfortable right now. I will take my happy ass to go sleep in the car.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's do questions.
Questions. All right. Number 1, big dick energy or big dick energy?
Well, again, I think the first half of the book, he obviously has big dick energy. But then I think he does really have big dick energy in the last half of the book, because this is one of the more consensual sex that we have. Like, even dudes that we have loved before in books, like, you know, I'm thinking about, like, in fantasy where we love that dude. Their sex was really gross. You know, like that initial sex thing. So I do like that he, like, wants and requires verbal consent from her. Like, I really liked that. Again, I get what she's trying to do with, like, make him be, like, a tomcat type dude. You know, I feel like she, like, saw the guy from the Stray Cats and was like, hey, I'm going to put brown hair on him and that's going to be my hero because that's what he looks like.
Well, I'm also thinking that, like, I liked when they did stuff that was stray cattish, that was not, like, aggressive and weird. Like, after they had sex and then the next morning she wakes up and he's moving his shit in. Like, I found that endearing. Yeah. You know? Yeah. As opposed to, you know, like him busting in as a complete stranger and eating her chili.
Yeah. Because, I feel like he was just, like, he was very into it and very into her from the jump. Like, you didn't have him ever, like, do that dumb verbally abuse thing that we get a lot, you know, like, so he's not like, I mean, again, I liked her a whole lot. I loved her, and we'll get to her in the next question. And he was fine, like, but he, he's not like
I did
my
not
guy.
like his behavior with Mike. It does not make it okay just because Mike turned out to be like a killer for hire. That doesn't mean that like before anybody knew he was a killer for hire, it was okay for him to like embarrass her with him at the post office.
Right. But yeah, I mean, he's not Matt Cutter, and he's not the Kathleen Eagle character, but he's up there for me in the books that we've had. I liked him a lot.
We need to do another one of hers.
Oh my God, I love that guy.
Yeah, so much. I was thinking about that whole ranch trip that we're not getting. Yeah, I was thinking about that book about
The episode's gonna just be called "Sarah's Mad We're Not at the Ranch."
Yes, Sarah's mad we're not at the ranch.
Like it would be some City Slickers nonsense. Is what would happen.
Sarah has not been on a horse in a while, but Sarah used to be a big surprise. She was a big horse girl.
You would find some old man and listen to him about some fucking like. He said, "There's gold in this mine. We're gonna go explore."
Courtney, get up! Courtney, we're looking for gold.
No, we're not. Okay, next question. You've got the questions in front of you.
Because we're not together, and I've got like our podcasting box. Would you talk shit with or about the heroine?
I loved her a lot. Like I really, really liked her. I thought she was great. Hold on, I gotta let my dog out of this room.
She was very grown up.
Yes,
in a positive way. She was just an adult who knew what she wanted.
Yep.
She
stood up for herself and like asserted herself, but wasn't like when you get those ones that stand up for themselves and assert themselves. A lot of times, it's like they're those insanely aggressive, like captive passions females.
So I hate to use the word shrill. Because shrill is a very gendered word. But you know what I mean, that these women are turned up to 1,000 and you can't even talk to them without them blowing up in your face half the time.
Yeah. So I really
how most people are.
And I would want her clothes. So she knows.
Yeah, she has a lot of camp shirts, and I do like a good camp shirt.
You can take her camp shirts and I'll take her crazy sweaters and it'll be great.
Yeah. Absolutely. Are the women in this Virginia Woolf or Phyllis Schlafly? You never get a lot of extra women in these like series romances because there's not room for them.
Yeah.
But it does pass the Bechdel test because she does talk to that lady at the at the post office. And they obviously have had like she asked her about her rock collection and shit. Like they've obviously have like a cordial, friendly, relationship of somebody you see at the post office.
Yeah.
When it comes to consent, is this book more Robin Thicke or Marvin Gaye?
Again, the consent in this is fantastic. Aside from him, like we said, the breaking in to make pancakes and how he treats her on the dates. But when it comes to the actual fucking, like there is consent all over the place. Like so much consent. So that was
nobody's drunk. I mean, like this is like the gold standard in older romances.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not actually sure that we've read one this old that is that heavy on consent.
Right. Yeah, I was loving that. So.
Mm-hmm. How badly are you judging your mom off for reading this book?
I think my mom probably had this one. This is like one of the ones that she would have had, Like.
It is kind of forgettable. I can see not remembering if you've read it until you.
Yeah.
Like, you open it back up again, It's the kind of thing that, like, you just buy a stack of them, which I think is what you did, right? I think you just buy a stack of them?
We used to have, like, these bins of them, like, just bins, so I'm sure this I probably would have stolen this one. But, yeah, it was very of what she would have read.
Would Scarlett Johansson be in the movie? I mean, it's only white people, so probably.
Yeah. For sure. She definitely would have been in this fucking movie. Oh my God. Yeah, it's wild. Like,
there's some running and gunning and,
Yeah. And again, I'm trying to think of who, like, this is one of those rangy actors, one of those actors that's just all, like, sinew.
See, to me, like, he looks like, in the cover, like, not how I actually picture him. But in the cover, he kind of looks like Uncle Jesse, if Uncle Jesse were, like, a little fatter in the face.
Yes, he looks like he's like an Uncle Jesse, and Lucas from Days of Our Lives and Ram from Heathers, the guy that's like one of the football players, all had like a love baby. That's who it would be.
See, I think we're supposed to think of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
like a dude who's like a jack of all trades, who's like super competent at a lot of things.
Again, I feel like this was very, I have to see what year. I feel like this was very Romancing the Stone inspired because, you know, we've got gems and we've got this guy that's just kind of like, yeah, Romancing the Stone was 1984. So it's obviously inspired by that. Because I felt like he was supposed to be that kind of Michael Douglas, all about town, you know, just can do whatever person.
It's supposed to be, yeah, like competence porn.
Yeah.
Like, and I've known some guys in real life who are like that. They can, like, you know, fix your shower.
Yeah.
And they can fix your car. And they can, like, take you to a nice restaurant and know how to order wine. I mean, like, he's supposed to be a guy who's very worldly, who's very good at everything. But he's smart. Like, he's, you know, he's a professional writer.
But it just didn't have enough time to, like, unpack it, I don't think. So.
I did not buy him though, which means that's pretty good for her. Like to be able to sell me on a guy being not stupid, but also hyper competent in less like 200 pages.
Yeah. Again, I liked him so much better than that one fool from Ghost of a Chance.
Robert Forster.
Robert Forster in his like Land's End sweater.
Who had Flammaria, if you recall.
God.
That book was terrible. And the thing about that book is it had a great caper. It had a great like Scooby-Doo fucking caper.
I love a caper. Y'all know I love capers. Like I really want to find an amazing caper book. Like, because we haven't had an amazing caper book.
If y'all know a good, amazing caper book,
I know. Just give it to me because, like, give me some kind of adventure, like, people traveling and doing stuff, and, like, I love it.
I kind of feel like maybe Ghost of a Chance would have been that book had it not been one of these series romances and had more time.
Yes.
Because the guy was supposed to have, like, a face turn, but it wasn't enough time, so it just seemed like he was delightful.
Oh, I hated him. All right, next question.
You're not leaving the house looking like that.
So many great outfits, y'all. So many great, like, again, I feel like she had all those, you know, like the Memphis style. And if you don't know, like Memphis style is like, if you guys loved the movie Mannequin, if you loved, you know, True Beverly Hills, like all of those kind of like animated intros, you know, that's kind of similar to what Memphis style is. And so I feel like a lot of her sweaters were that with the squiggly
and you would definitely wear them pushed up, right?
Huh?
The sleeves. You would push up the sleeves.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like it was a little bit
on your head. I'm doing it right now, but you can't see it.
Like all those triangles and squiggly lines. And there's an artist, I'll have to link to it. There's an artist that did all of those movie intros specifically. And I hate that I can't remember her name or their name right off the bat, but I've found an interesting article talking about those that I'll have to link to when we do our page for this. But I feel like that was a lot of that aesthetic, where it's just those kind of crazy sweaters. And then camp shirts. Orange camp shirts.
And also, I kind of wondered if maybe they weren't that crazy. He just wasn't used to people wearing a color.
Well, no, but she even said that she liked loud, bright clothes. Like,
well, yeah.
So.
And it almost killed her until like so they're sitting there in the woods and she's wearing this one of her camp shirts, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh shit, we gotta take that off you!" And like it's freezing out and drizzling.
Yeah.
And he hangs it over a branch somewhere else, and then that's like their decoy.
Yeah, exactly. I love like that part was so fun to me. But then yeah.
I wish that had been more of the book, you know.
And then so he just dresses like a dude from the 80s. You know, it's jeans and. Like he's
doesn't even barely mention how he dresses just because, you know, why bother?
Yeah, exactly.
Why bother? Would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages? Yeah, this was good. It could have been, I don't know. It was fine.
It was fine. It was,
I didn't dog-ear any pages, you know.
No, it was fine. It wasn't the most, it was okay.
We have read some that were like, but that was not one of these. But you know, it's a silhouette desire, so you know it's going to be a little bit more explicit than some of the other books in the same time period. But it was still and kind of like, you know, floridly written. Yeah,
we don't get slot A goes to slot B kind of thing.
Cascades of ecstasy, that kind of thing.
No.
What pairs nicely with a dumpster fire?
I don't know. What would I put?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, again, this is one of those where they're drinking a lot of sherry and brandy.
Yeah. Because when it's cold in the 80s, evidently what you drank was like Cavassier.
I might put like, yeah, or like a nice, like, again, maybe this well read, because it's a nice wine.
Yeah.
It's nice for
That sounds fancy.
So yeah, organic, well read. But yeah, overall it was a fun book. I'm glad we did another Stephanie James / Jayne Ann Krentz, because I do know some of our like listeners, that's their like that was their go-to author, you know, and so
I just still feel like we haven't really read her though, just because these books are so short.
Exactly.
I just kind of feel like I keep poking myself in a way that I don't like.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
Like, that hurt more? Does it hurt, you know? Just because, like, I still don't feel like if I really know if I like Jayne Ann Krentz or not.
Yeah. Well, we'll do another one later and see what we think. So, yeah, that has been, you know what? This is kind of nice because this isn't going to be one of those, like, we can't not do an hour and a half for an episode. So this one's, like, sitting at, like, 45 minutes. So go us.
Enjoy.
Yes, but again,
hopefully it sounds better.
So, you know, just before we sign off, some things that you can do to help us. Obviously, we have our Patreon, where you can be a member for as low as $1 a month, and you get fun stickers and all kinds of other stuff. Like us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And then another really good, cheap way to help out is to leave a review and a rating on wherever you listen to podcasts. So
thank you for all of those, especially those of you who rated and reviewed for our contest that just wrapped up last month. That was it really does. I mean, if you think it doesn't matter, actually what it does is it puts you higher up in search results. Yeah, so it does actually do something concrete for podcasts.
It does. It really helps, and especially little indie podcasts. We need all the help we can get to keep bringing our nonsense content to you, and we will see you again soon, or talk to you soon.
All right. Peace out.
Bodice Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcast.